All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you the story about how we became an Immortal. It's a funny drama-related story and some politics involved. So if we go and we look at the Wall of Honor and we go to the leaderboard, you can see Aftershock United Prime is the second in terms of reign. Negative Orbs just lasted 7 weeks, reigned, and beat us to the #1 spot on the Immortal leadership board. But in my personal opinion, they would have lasted even longer, 8, 9 weeks, maybe gone for a record. Why would I say this? Because this clan is either the strongest or the second strongest clan on the server. It's Covenant. They have many large tier 3 wings. They have many tier 2 wings. They have a lot of very active, strong combat rating players, etc. Now, if you actually look at the allied clans, the current clan that became the Immortal and picked us as an Immortal, we've got the Immortalship as well. Feels good. This clan is either the first or second strongest. So you can see they're neck and neck with the clan that we just took down to become the reign. But here's where the politics, drama, and the mistake really lasted. You see, the reign, the Immortal reign we just took down, the Negative Orbs reign, had Elden Chads within their clan cluster. When you become an Immortal, you get to pick 3 clans, right? So as the Immortal, they picked Aftershock United Prime, and Lords is the 2 clans they wanted to bring to the Immortalship. You see, they used to be in the same type of spot. We were with the Negative Orbs Covenant clan being up here and having picked them. Well, politics are becoming more and more important in this game. As server merges have not happened, as population is decreasing, which you can see just by looking at your clans, and as the reigns are getting longer because of the population decreasing and taking longer time to generate marks, etc., to be able to go into the reckonings to take down the Immortals, etc., the reigns are going to be getting longer, and the people you are working with is shrinking because not only does, a new player's in the game, but it's going to take months for that new player who entered the game to get to a strength point to which you're working with them when it comes to like taking over the Immortalship. So for this reason, keeping your ducks in a row in terms of how you treat people is pretty crucial when it comes to politics. So what actually ended up happening was this original clan got in an argument. It doesn't really matter what. They got in an argument. Some words were said, and one of the people insulted the other, leading to eventually Elden Chads being removed from the Immortal reign. Now, if you ask me, removing them was not only a tactical mistake, but probably the wrong one for what had happened. But more importantly, what that actually ended up meaning was they went from having, if you look at the Wall of Honor, they went from having probably an absolutely dominating like 8, 9, 10-week reign because we were already struggling to take them down to beating us by 1 week for our reign. And I think they would have gone a lot longer because they had to do it defensive-wise, not only against us, which was already a struggle for us, but they now had to do it against their new buddies, the Elden Chads, who they kicked out. So a couple points I want to make about this that we can learn about this, both from the game as well as like ways politics matter in this. One, if you're a clan leader, you never know when clans that will give you problems are now going to help you. Let me give you an example. This Lord's clan, that's my ally clan here. This clan, they have a new leader. Originally, I was getting flamed by the OG leader. Like this, the guy who ran Lords would openly flame me in world chat just because I'm a YouTuber. I mean, I get this shit all the time. Honestly, it's very depressing. I'm going to be real with you guys. In some of the games where you're well known, when you walk around in a game, it's like, oh, you're famous. People want to follow you and be happy and like all this stuff. You walk around in Diablo and you get flamed. People just open world flame you, or they'll be like, hey, you don't have as much combat rating as me. I'm better than you. You'll get DMs and all this stuff. It's very weird. This happens a lot in this game because of the whole Immortal system, I think. And so the Lords clan, originally their leader was doing that, and also they teamed up against us in the first right to make sure like we wouldn't win, and they were one of the reasons that the Negative Orbs clan originally had the very first founding triumvirate, is they teamed up with them and then got stabbed in the back by the same clan, basically. So what was interesting is now we are teamed up with this same clan under the guise of a new leadership, etc. Maybe just change his name out. I think it's a new leader. So what's interesting is even clans that you don't think you're going to be working with, like you're going to eventually be up working with. There's not enough people. You have to be able to bury hatchets. You have to be able to work with people, and you have to not make a negative name for yourself in these types of games when it comes to the Immortalship. What's interesting about this, though, is literally none of this matters. I can go in and I can talk about all the politics. I can talk about the drama. I can talk about getting flamed. I can talk about all the shit that happens, you know, both as from a Immortal side of it, clan side of it, YouTuber side of it, but none of it really matters because the realistic side is I woke up and I'm like, oh, I'm an Immortal today. I don't care. Being an Immortal doesn't actually mean anything. All the YouTubers called it from the partner program way back in the day. Everyone told Blizzard this way back in the day, which is that being an Immortal is not worth the time it takes to get there and the rewards suck. They're basically bad. Now, I don't know if that's because it's supposed to be designed where the person's supposed to milk the Keons only for certain people at certain times, and the whole reward's supposed to be you just milk the legendary crest for some people. Maybe that's supposed to be what it is, okay? But the Hiltz Trader is not enough reward. I get like one more legendary item a week, big whoop. The Vault, competing for the actual items, can be ridiculous. The Vault's probably the best thing about it. And then after that, the rewards are kind of not good. So most people want to do one thing, which is they want to be on the wall, because like, it was funny. I was looking at Reddit the other day, and on the front page, someone had upvoted a screenshot. They took a screenshot of one of my YouTube videos where I had the crown, the Immortal crown from, being the guy with the statue and all that, the Immortal, like Sawcheck is right now. And they were asking, how do you get this skill? It's like, well, the only way you get that is being Immortal. And even that doesn't matter, because the skill is literally on a half-hour cooldown to do something for like 10 seconds. So even being like, these are the guys who care. Like the guys up here, these guys care because you're on the wall, you get the cool Immortal item, all that stuff. But even that doesn't really matter. I mean, I didn't really have a single time that being the actual Immortal guy would have mattered. The only time it would have mattered is getting the Valor badges, where you get the 20% extra. And then when I found out, like, let me show you the Valor badges, right? So being this guy right here, Sawcheck the Immortal, this part matters, because if you actually go and you go here and you go to the Deeds of Valor badges, you can see you can get 20% increased life and damage, which is insane in PvP. You have to have exceptional and all granted, which even I wasn't able to do during the Immortal, because you have to play a lot. Like, you have to play a lot more than I was able to. Getting 20%, this only lasts for the next 3 cycle badges. Your active badges are your last 3 badges, okay? You see that? Active badges, 3 out of 3. You see how there's no way for me to like click and like choose my active badges? It's literally just your last 3 badges. So let's say this right here, this one where I was the leader of a Dark Clan, I'm going to lose my Dark Clan badges. I have 12% here that got replaced with the 8%. I don't get to choose these even though I have better badges. So even literally the hardest ability in the game to acquire, being the actual Immortal, doesn't matter, because in 3 reigns it falls off. And if you don't do it again, it still doesn't matter. What's even more hilarious about this is if you actually look at the badge, it's impossible to do again. Because look, lead the highest ranked Immortal reign if the cycle is in. So that means that if you were the highest ranked right now, 7 weeks, okay? So there's the guy that has this, I think there's someone right now that has this badge. Maybe he played exceptional, maybe he didn't. So he's got the badge for 7 weeks, okay? This lasts 3 reigns. And if he does not do another reign at 8 weeks plus, let's say we fell and we do 6 weeks, okay? So he still holds it. He has to not only become the Immortal and the Immortal again, but he also has to beat his own record in order to even get this badge back, which means eventually it's impossible to get. And the Eternal badge is not even Eternal. How's that? Can you imagine how much of a meme that is? The Eternal badge literally is the only badge that has an expiration date out of any badge on the server, because the highest ranked Immortal reign eventually is impossible to accomplish again, because it only lasts 3 weeks. You get the logic? So there is actually, kind of factually, not really much of a benefit to being the Immortal at the moment. There's a little bit of resource benefits from like the Hiltz Trader, there's the Keons, and there's the Vault. That's really what you get. So it's cool being the Immortal. The drama's kind of dope around it. I do think that we could probably buff the Immortal system a little bit. I said this in my last reign. I'm going to say this now as the Immortal Allied Clan. We still need to buff the Immortals. Even when I'm not the Immortal, like, it's obvious the people who are the Immortals aren't really getting anything that matters. We actually totally forget about it to the point where it's like, hey, being the Immortal doesn't really matter. I also think it would break up some of the monotony of the game. Like, if you're really focused on the Immortalship and being stronger, doing things like dungeon grinding in the game. I just ran 40 dungeons last night, got 8 item drops, to give you an idea, and that's a good drop rate, about 20%. It gives doing those things meaning, where it's like, I'm getting as strong as I can for the Rite of Exile. It's the other thing, the Rite of Exile used to be 4 weeks. So, as the current implementation is in the game, when you actually look at it here and you look at the leaderboard, these 7, 6, and 5 week reigns were supposed to be a major anomaly. Blizzard originally had it designed where the week's reign were supposed to be like 3 to 5 weeks, kind of at the cap. And at the last minute before the game came out, they raised it where it's like, hey, we're going to go to 7, 8 weeks. It will be possible. And it's like, okay, you can do that. That is something you can do, but then keep in mind the whole point of the game, like this cycle of strife, is now half as often and half as important. So just kind of keep that in mind. Plus, the other problem is you have to gain marks as a shadow. So in order to actually get to the point where you can take these reigns down, because you originally it's like, oh, you got to get 5 wins as a shadow, right? Well, then to get 4 wins, you have to get more marks. Okay, now you only need 3 wins, even more marks. You have to keep going up the reckoning levels, and marks are attributed from all the shadows grinding marks. So as players get less, the reigns get longer. So reigns are only going to increase in tear. They aren't going to decrease. They're going to be getting more difficult because there's less players in the server. So we either need server merges sooner rather than later, server transfers. We need, I would say, more advertising, but this game's already advertised. Not having enough players is going to become a problem eventually. It might not be right now, but not having enough players will become a problem eventually with this gameplay. And I do think having the reigns be quicker would help a little bit with that. That's just one man's opinion, and that's the current drama related to the Immortal ship on my server. So what happened with the Rite of Exile on your server? Did you guys have drama? Any of that stuff? What's your opinion on the Immortal take? Let me know in the comments down below. I do read pretty much all of my comments. I love y'all. I'm going to be live now, twitch.tv/DarthMicrotransaction for more dungeon farming.